Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the south-afrifur podcast. You're listening to myself, Ivik Wolf, and our co-host is Scratch, as always.
Yo.
And the person that we are interviewing today is a person who's been coming onto our show quite often, and that is Arrkay Mark from Culturally Effed.
Hey, good to be back.
Yeah. And, so, today we're probably just going to be talking about some of the things that Mark has been doing recently. They released a new video about Star Fox. It's just about Star Fox, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
And the influences that Star Fox has had on the fandom itself?
It's more like the other way around. It's more like how fan culture has influenced Star Fox and how everyone sort of thinks about Star Fox.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a rather sexy episode since it talks a lot about fan fiction and fan art.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, of course, guest written by a friend of the show, Tempeh Okun. Very award-winning furry author. He reached out and be like, hey, I really want to write an episode for you guys. And I'm like, great, that sounds like the best idea ever. And then like 2 days later, he shows up with his draft. He just cranked it out really quickly for us, which was awesome. So we put it right in front of the line for production. That was our latest episode. And the episode before that, we talked about copyright. I wrote that episode. I did all the research for that one, and that one managed to be like a viral success. We had over 30,000 views on that one.
Oh, fucking
It's
nice.
our most popular. It became our most popular video overnight, and I really wasn't expecting that. So that's nice.
That is really cool, yeah.
That is pretty cool. You just have to get rid of adblock. Sorry. Here's obviously going to be a question is that, like, I mean, you guys have had, like, a whole bunch of content that's come out recently, and maybe I've actually asked this question to you before, but, I mean, like, how easy is it to come by content now that you guys have established yourself for the, past 2 years now?
We're coming on 2.5 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what you mean, like, stumble across content.
I mean, like, obviously you guys, like, when you're preparing for future episodes and everything like that, does content still come relatively naturally to you guys, or is the well becoming a little bit dry?
I wouldn't say the well is necessarily dry, but I definitely struggle to, like, set aside time for writing. I'm really, like, video editing itself takes a huge amount of time, and especially with our last few videos, I really wanted to up the ante and make them really, really nice videos to watch. So it's not that I don't have it. It's not like I'm running out of ideas. It's that I don't necessarily give myself enough time to expand on those ideas. So when someone like Tempeh comes along and says, hey, I want to write an episode for you, my head explodes because, like, holy crap, yes, please. So little work now that I now need to do.
All right. So, I mean, and like with content and things like that, like, are you going? One of your videos, I think, probably looked at smaller, like, communities in other places and things like that. I think, I'm not mistaken.
Oh, in our Gargoyles episode, we talked a bit about the Gargoyles fandom, sort of briefly run fan community from, like, 97 to 2007. That sort of fizzled out. It's really comparable to, like, Bronies as a fandom. And Gargoyles was very influential to me growing up, so that's why I really wanted to write that episode.
Okay. Would you ever do an episode, say, about, like, not necessarily urban legends, but like crypt? How do you say?
I have cryptid animals. Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Way back. I can link it to you. It was a Halloween special from last year. Pulling it up now. Anthros in cryptozoology, and we talked about mostly Bigfoot, and we talked about mostly Bigfoot and the lizard people. And there's a couple of other cool anthros sprinkled in there. I gotta say, lizard people is my favorite conspiracy theory because it makes so little sense.
What about the mole people?
Those are more like from fiction than they are from like cryptid myths.
Okay.
I would say. There's a few like it's been a while, but yeah, we've totally talked about that on the show before.
But are you going to maybe revisit the topic, possibly look at like other cultures outside of like America, and maybe look into, say, European cryptids, possibly Asian cryptids, things like that? Is there a possibility that you might be able to revisit that topic?
I mean, sure. I can't guarantee that I'm going to get to work on the script right away after we're done this podcast.
Really?
But yeah, sorry, man. in our cryptozoology episode, I focus on Bigfoot and lizard people because those are culturally pretty sparse spread. Like a lot of places all over the world have a story of a big, tall ape man who lives in the forest or the mountain, and a surprising number of cultures all have lizard people myths as well. So I didn't mean for them to be so Western centric, but those are some there's a reason these myths have gotten
proliferated.
So everyone, proliferated in the collective imaginations of all sorts of cultures.
All right. Okay. So when Tempo approached you about the show for Star Fox, what was the sort of like idea behind it? What did he envision, and what did you guys come up with? Was there any difference?
Yes. So the first draft he sent me was very sexy. It was like the first half of the episode was basically about Crystal's body, and I'm like, dude, this is a PG-13 show. It's okay to be a little sexy, but we got to scale this back. That was my first note for him when he sent me the first draft, because he writes a lot of erotica, and I'm not faulting him for that or anything. I think it's great, but like didn't really fit for Culturally F, so he scaled that back a bit. And even then, the episode is still quite sexy.
But I mean, like, it's you guys have the Furry After Dark show as well, right?
True, yeah, but it wasn't sexy enough for that. And because Star Fox is so awesome, I really did want it to be a general episode. So we scaled it back as much as we could. The real challenge then was finding like the artwork and the memes to stick in, because it's super easy to find really exaggerated pictures, over-sexualized pictures. And it's not so hard to find that nice middle ground that is appropriate for all audiences. That was quite challenging.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that one of the pictures must have been like, this is the reason why Crystal can't enjoy her sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah. And then everything that actually moved on after that, because I remember that they memed that one up pretty badly.
Yeah, that was a big thing in the community.
How many years back was that? I still remember, like, it was at least 7.
Yeah,
Crystal
easy.
and her
Like,
sandwich? Yeah, I think it's Star Fox Adventures. Star Fox Adventures is already a 10-year-old game.
Yeah. I'll just a cough button.
I thought that I didn't know it was actually like sort of taken out of the context of a game. I thought it was just like some random furries making lols about it. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I guess I don't know. Like the Star Fox fandom and the furry fandom have had their ups and downs in essence. In that, like, obviously Star Fox ended, and then that Adventures game came out, and it was pretty much like, you know, everything since Sonic Boom and Sonic 06. So,
yeah, that's a good. Comparing it to Sonic is actually a pretty good analogy. Star Fox itself, like, it was super groundbreaking when it first came out, '93, and then the Star Fox 64 was also very successful, which is basically a reboot with better graphics. But it kind of went downhill from there because Nintendo kind of used Star Fox as its testing ground, because they was trying to recreate that special something that happened with the first Star Fox game, where it was this brand new 3D technology in people's homes, and it was kind of new and exciting, but they haven't been able to recapture that, and it just feels kind of cheesy and kind of lame. And it's really unfortunate that a lot of Star Fox games aren't actually that good. Even if people are still totally in love with the story and the characters, and as a flight simulator, these games are usually pretty good. But Star Fox Adventures wasn't a flight simulator. Star Fox Adventures was an RPG.
Yeah,
another good one at that.
RPG. Yeah, no, it wasn't even that good. Exactly.
It was kind of Star Fox meets Legend of Zelda.
So it's really been up to the fans to sort of fill in those gaps on behalf of Nintendo and build on it. And now we have like crazy animation projects like a Fox in Space and like these other like fan works that have taken over.
But
the newest. Sorry, go.
It's okay. Like what I wanted to say is like again the comparison with Sonic is quite apt in that, like as you said, Star Fox was sort of a testing ground for Nintendo. It was the original format of the game was fun in and of itself, but then they tried to push it in a different direction, or like they tried to do something else with it, and it wasn't as good. And like I think the entire everyone's love of like Sonic Mania that just came out, and like the hatred towards any of the 3D Sonics is like that's very much the same
–
scenario. Like
absolutely.
Yeah, you can't recapture old magic on new hardware kind of thing.
I mean, you can. It just takes a lot of effort.
Yeah,
and love.
Like it has to be a good game on its own, as well as like paying tribute to the source material and the fandom surrounding it and stuff.
Very true.
Because I know Star Fox Adventures was originally just going to be a cheesy dinosaur game, and some producer at Nintendo was like, "This is not going to sell any copies. Throw Star Fox in it."
Yeah, and give him a sexy like partner thing.
Yeah,
because everybody wants that, and for a while they did. But I mean, like with Star Fox, obviously, like it's almost the same as what they tried to do with Banjo and Kazooie. In that, like Banjo and Kazooie 1, Banjo and Kazooie 2 was actually pretty damn good. Like they did exactly the right thing, and then the third one, well, there was another Banjo and Kazooie game which was literally them driving around collecting auto parts.
Yeah, nuts and bolts.
Yeah, and then the driving mechanic was so terrible that, just terrible. I mean, even JonTron had a video on that at some point. So, I mean, like, is this possibly the start of like a gaming sort of era of like how furries and gaming and everything like that or is it part of like a what do you call it? An arc that you're kind of considering going into?
It's interesting you bring that up. I think there's always been anthro characters in gaming. Like, even back, maybe not always. I don't know how you define gaming if you're including like pre-computer games. But at least like with RPGs and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, I know those were some of the earliest like ports onto a digital platform as well, and all of those were all included furry characters and furry options. But as for like a furry perspective, I can't really say. I think like crowdfunding and like people seizing the means of production. By that I mean not the Communist Manifesto, but people just having really good computers and graphics skills to make interesting stuff, and crowdfunding platforms like Patreon or GoFundMe or whatever. These are opening up a lot of new avenues for creators to make their kind of games that they want to make, and furries especially are a pretty tech savvy group. So I think we are going to get more straight up furry video games. Sure. I've never really been much of a gamer, to be totally honest, which is why there's not very many videos on Culturally Effed about gaming or video games in general. I also felt like YouTube as a whole is really oversaturated with video game content. Partly because their algorithm favors it. So I haven't really intentionally avoided it, but I haven't really been actively trying to make video game content because I feel like there's already 101 other YouTube channels that have already covered a lot of these video game topics, which was my big challenge when Tempe approached me to write an episode. It was like I don't want to talk about something that everyone's already talked about. So his angle was talking about the fan canon and talking about everything from how Crystal's portrayed in fan works to Falco as a falcon or a pheasant, and of course everyone gay romancing each other.
Yeah, which is interesting. So, and I see you guys actually did an extended issue of Redwall here as well.
Yes. So what happened with that is I had this big long history of like about 3/4 of the books, and I still stopped. And the video ended up really long, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of boring. I don't think anyone's going to enjoy this. So I had already uploaded it, so I just set it to private and shared it with only my patrons at first. So it was a Patreon exclusive. When the first one came out, with the regular cut came out, the shorter one. And then, we're scaling back our production this summer, so just to have that content out, I decided to release the extended edition, which really just includes a couple of extra books at the end, and then my own summary of the entire Redwall series, which is basically a traditional hero's arc for every book. You have some hero born of two worlds, and they have to go on a quest or adventure, and they have to defeat a giant animal or solve a big problem, or a riddle or something.
Joseph Campbell, blah blah blah.
Yeah. There's usually some evil predator and a gang of thugs under their command to defeat, and they usually get a fancy weapon or a means to defeat them, and then they do. The end. That's every Redwall book.
I would almost beg to disagree. There are some that were a lot better than that.
Sure. No, I know. I mean, this is a vast overgeneralization. Yeah. I know. But I was really trying to dissect Redwall and trying to build, like, what does this big epic history even look like? Because I think it is still pretty interesting. I've only ever read one of the books, and it was as research for that episode. Oh, I'm sorry. It sounds like I've disappointed you.
You have, actually. Spilled it all.
Ouch.
I was a big fan when I was a kid.
They're fine books. Brian Jack has a very flowery way of writing.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from his history of working with blind children and being very descriptive with scent and smell and taste.
And food.
Yeah, and the food. He loves to get into great detail about food, for sure.
It was the one thing that kind of like that was possibly the one thing that both annoyed and made me hungry on a daily basis. I would be sitting there going like, it's just before lunch, and I'd be reading, an excerpt where they're talking about the feasts that they had, and I'd just be sitting there going like, are you f***ing serious?
Yeah.
Stop talking about chestnuts that have been roasted to the point of like perfection, that have literally been dipped into like honey and then crystallized and shit like that. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Stop
he had
it.
some pretty fantastic meals in that series. Like one thing I was just trying to do was just trying to figure out like what period of history is this trying to emulate, or does it represent maybe? Because there's very little information within Redwall about history before the Redwall books.
Yeah.
Like, it's all very self-contained, and you can sort of have to make guesses based on the technology that's around. But ultimately, it's just a fantasy setting that it's just this own unique area that vaguely resembles medieval England.
Yeah, I always found it interesting that like you'd have a whole bunch of mice eating fish.
Yeah, what's with that?
That seemed to be the one thing that like he tended to do quite often, and it was literally just, like talking about some sort of hake or tuna or something like that, and you'd be sitting there going like, size differences aside, because generally like the fish that they caught was like at least 3 times the size of a mouse. Yeah, I don't know, like if we actually talk about the way that he sort of inspires like the furry media, for instance, you look at Tempo, for instance, and the way that Tempo writes his books, And I mean, we had a talk with him about how he goes through great pains to try to show how the differences in certain types of species might affect the way that they react to things as well. And that's something that Brian Jacques didn't necessarily do very well. It's probably the only sort of comment that you can actually give to him. Brian Jacques was kind of like the furry fantasy, what's the word? Equivalent of now who writes against Stephen King? Like writes the same genre. Kuntz, yes. Brian Jacques is pretty much the like his version of, furry fantasy Kuntz books.
Interesting way to put it.
Brian Jacques.
So many people in the comments were sussing me out for pronouncing his last name as Jacques, which is like a French pronunciation. And I assume they're all Americans who were pronouncing it as Jakes.
No, it's Jacques. Seriously?
Yeah. No, people were so mad. I had someone in the comments told me they rage quitted out of the video because of how I pronounced his name. And I'm like, dude, who cares? Like, he didn't even watch, like, of all of the things to pronounce in the Redwall series, they have very fantastical, long, stretched, vowelful words, and that's where they noped out. It's not the fact that I had to say salamandastron 1,800 times in that episode. It's that I said Jacques instead of Jakes.
Could you at any given point just put in a random lisp when you say salamandastron?
Salamandastron?
Salamandastron.
Salamandastron.
God, it sounds like, what's it, Wingardium Leviosa. At the end of the day, like, no, it's Leviosa. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just shut the hell up.
Magic.
Enjoy the video.
Leviosa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian Jacques. Or Jacques. You don't even, the S is silent, technically.
Yeah. People need to get their French together.
Mm-hmm. Get your French together, man.
Yeah. That was like the biggest complaint in those videos. It's not that it was like too long or like kind of
factually
boring. No, it's
incorrect.
it's you pronouncing the author's name correctly.
Incorrectly. Incorrectly to them. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, weirdly enough, speaking of, what is your most, what was one of the funniest comments that you've gotten so far?
Like
since
ever?
we are talking, yeah, since we're talking about your fan base.
No, I can't think of anything immediately. I'm just I'm poking around right now. There's lots of people like to comment on the hybrids and circle video. People are still commenting on that on like an hourly basis, even when I'm posting new videos. So if you're interested in some inspiration for your own hybrid species, check out the comment section of the hybrids and circles video, because that's full of them. People love to talk about that.
Okay.
I always also take note when I see people are binge watching and commenting.
Yeah.
Like, it's super easy to see when one person has commented on a string of videos. It's always exciting.
Okay.
One thing I've gotten used to, it's very therapeutic, especially in these turbulent political times, is talking back to shitposters.
Yeah, I see what's it, Wabbit Rusty Talks Raiders on Redwall and comment responses.
Oh yeah, that was an older one, and I didn't even get in that much trouble for that one. I got in more trouble for the Fandom Divided episode, where I was discussing alt-furry and the furry Nazi issue directly, and I was super neutral on it too, and it was still enough to piss off the alt-right furry group idiots.
Which explains
to the point,
a lot.
Yeah. So they were like, in their own words, they were rating the comment section as if I had never read a comment section before. Like, it wasn't anything out of like unexpected. And I just did a general comment response. Yeah, that was a rough few weeks, needless to say.
Ouch.
I really hope I don't have to address such a thing again, But hopefully they don't swat any more cons, and I won't have to.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I am getting pretty sick of it, that it's still a thing and they're still kicking around. But they're kicked off of Discord, and I've blocked them all on Twitter now. So life is a little more comfortable without them bugging me with their needless, heedless racism.
I assume the word cuck came up quite often.
Probably.
Yeah.
All the power to cucks. They got a kink, and if their partner's into it too, great. I learned a friend of mine recently is dating a cuck, and I just gave him a big high five. Like, score. All he has to do is just go out and get laid as possible. And the only caveat is he has to tell his partner. Awesome. Why is this an insult?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Jealousy makes you nasty, I suppose.
Well, I mean, like, scratch. Do you know the term cuck?
Yeah. Cuckold, essentially.
Yeah, cuckold. In other words, yeah, exactly that. It's a silly concept. And I remember, I was speaking to Tempo, and he was showing me a piece of art of how one of the artists started, like, was doing sort of very similarly built furries in the beginning, and then as it continued, they would have like size differences where the person who's with, say, a girl or a guy or anything like that, the guy who's bigger built would then be able to take away the the love interest of the other. And he was saying that, like, maybe this person was going to jump onto like the whole, Nazi furry train and so on and so forth. And he was actually quite surprised when he didn't, which is actually very interesting to look at when it comes to that kind of divide. And I don't know, like, I think the only comment that I would have about a fandom divided is that instead of it being a 50-50 thing, it's literally it's 95-5.
If even that. Like, these are literally maybe a couple dozen people who are in on this. If even fewer of them are doing anything seriously. Like, a lot of them are just trolls who are looking for that safe space to be racist in.
Yeah.
All of their numbers are inflated. There's lots of people just listening in and keeping tabs on them because they're up to some pretty illegal activity a lot of the time, and sending out death threats and swatting cons, costing cons tens of thousands of dollars. It's gonna catch up to them. It's only a matter of time. They're already being kicked off of Discord, and their websites are being shut down, and they really are a really, really small minority of very loud jerks.
Yeah.
And I think the fandom as a whole is doing a pretty okay job of sussing them out and not putting up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's some positivity coming out of this. We have this incredibly gay, incredibly LGBTQ group who can recognize that these are bad people that we don't want in our space. Like, you can't. Yeah, it's a big, messy can of worms that we could spend all day talking about and just get madder and madder. Can't reason with these people, so whatever. I'd also transition somewhat smoothly. Underbite and I were interviewed by Vice Media for their recent special Fursuits and Personas, or Personas and Fursuits, maybe. And they asked us about the Nazi furs, and we had to give a response to that. And apparently they asked the other people who they were interviewing, but that never made it into the final cut of the video. They asked us just pretty straight out, like, what do you guys think of this? And I'm like, well, we wanted to ask you about that because you're the journalist. It boils down to, like, we can't, like, if our community is, like, famous for being incredibly tolerant and accepting, inviting intolerance is the opposite of that, and it will lower the overall tolerance of everything and make more people feel uncomfortable in the space as opposed to feeling safe and comfortable in that space.
I mean, there was that whole
therefore can't let these people in.
I mean, in the wake of this whole, like, Nazi fur thing, I've seen on social media that's floating around that whole...
What's your guys' perspective from the opposite end of the world? Like, the U.S. is right next door to us. Like, this is like really in our face constantly. And as it does devolve into a fascist regime, we're on the front lines of this. But you guys are nice and safe on the other side of the equator. So tell me, like, I'm interested in your guys' perspective on this whole thing.
I wouldn't necessarily say they were safe, for starters. And it's actually kind of weird, and I'm not sure if Scratch has actually ever seen this happen before. I can hear you fine, Scratch.
Okay. Oh, can you?
Scratch, talk?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
No worries. I thought I cut out there for a second.
No worries. But yeah, like, Scratch, either you can back me up on this or you can, like, step back on this one. But the thing is that, like, in South Africa particularly, there is it may not necessarily be, you know, Nazism, but there's definitely a large amount of I would be able to say it like this, but white pride,
white supremacy,
white supremacy in South Africa, and especially against, you know, honestly, a group of people that is, you know, a lot larger than the one that's here. So there's no sort of, it's not even that we're the majority in this country, or we're 50-50 in this country.
Yeah.
In respect to, you know, on the color line. And you'll find that a large amount of the people in South Africa are terrifyingly intolerant of a large amount of things. In fact, it was one of the reasons why, I mean, our convention at times was sort of limited to specific places, because we weren't necessarily sure whether there'd be any kind of public outcry, whether people would, you know, misunderstand, or not necessarily misunderstand, but purposefully misunderstand would possibly be even another term that I could use, the entire thing. And it does become kind of difficult, especially when you're trying to, you know, try your hardest to not let that be the thing that is sort of the end message of it all.
Hell, dude, I think part of our like our choice of like a choice of venue, or whatever the hell you want to call it, was because of, we thought people were going to be intolerant about, you know, homosexual couples more so than anything else, almost.
Yeah, that was part and parcel of it. I mean, it's stupid. It's really, really stupid.
Yeah, well, you can't change everybody's minds. It's just like one step at a time. Try and show them that we're not actually assholes, or, you know, try to steal their children and whatever the hell.
Well, children are delicious.
Yeah,
I could never eat a whole one.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of children and the stealing of them, I mean, it was. Sorry. There was most that one article that came out up here in Centurion.
Let's not dwell on that.
But the thing is that it did happen, and that immediately made everybody sort of stand up and go, you know, what are we supposed to do now? It's one of the reasons why we've come to certain conclusions in respect to allowing or not allowing people of a certain age. These are things that we need to take into account, because the thing is, but I mean, like, the counter argument, for instance, for not allowing people at the age of 16 and under, or anything below 16, or anything below 18 for that matter, it just literally just sort of quantifies itself to, you know, we're not allowing because we don't want articles like this happening, just because some person has made some sort of, you know, connection with that. But in that same sense, we're also shooting ourselves in the foot by saying we're not allowing these people. That means that we're just a whole bunch of sex-crazed maniacs. But at the end of the day, like, you kind of have to sit there going like, well, you have sex-crazed maniacs if you don't allow under 16s in there or under 18s in there, and we're sex-crazed maniacs if we do.
Well, why couldn't you, like, justify that as either an alcohol? I'm not sure what the drinking age is. It's 18, yeah. So you could just say, hey, we're giving away alcohol, we're serving alcohol, therefore, if you're not old enough to drink alcohol, you can't come. Or
that is
if you're hosting regular events, you could say it's an insurance thing, because kids are a completely different bag of insurance claims.
That is two of about like half a dozen reasons why why we decided
Yeah.
again on the 1818.
That and kids are awful.
That's 3.
Kids are awful, and you need their parents' consent if they want to do anything fun. And if they think it's going to be a weird, sexy furry party, then they're probably not going to get their parents' consent anyway.
Yeah.
Also, not to sound like a tool, but I haven't seen anyone of our con staff raise their hands to say yes to babysitting.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely not putting my hand up for
you
that.
need the volunteer there to be wrangler.
Yeah.
Kid wrangler.
Not quite on my list of things to do on a weekend.
More than fine on a one-day event, possibly a camp or something like that. Where
or a barbecue or something.
Because then again, it's exactly that. You know, you're camping. It's easier to handle people. You can literally shut them down because at the end of the day, it's not an event. It's an event, but it's not.
It's nothing. It's nothing like sanctioned. It's like it's a camp. Whatever can happen. It's like we're not putting out, like, oh, it's like Sunday at 2. We're having a drinking contest kind of thing.
Yeah, which we should. Why didn't we do that?
I don't know, dude. I come up with good ideas when I'm not thinking.
Cool. The next time I'm gonna ask you to not think.
Okay.
Next meeting, like in a week from now.
Yeah.
Scratch. Stop thinking. Get ideas.
We build contraptions out of mozzarella sticks and then we eat them.
Why do I like that idea so much?
I don't know, dude. Maybe you're hungry.
I'm not. I'm definitely not hungry. We had Dagwoods. But any case, so that's pretty much the so we're not protected. Definitely not protected. I don't think from that kind of mentality. There are actually I've had a few encounters, especially on some of the groups that we have, where that kind of mentality proliferates itself. We shut them down. Yeah, we shut them down pretty quickly. But the thing is that they still do prevail. They're still there, and it's difficult to be able to pick, what is and what isn't. Like not right and what is. Because I mean, like everybody's entitled to an opinion, and that's probably also part and parcel of the problem.
Yeah, but like people mistake opinions as like fact. Like just because it's in your opinion that because of how someone dresses or the color of their skin makes them somehow lesser or less worthy of respect, doesn't make it true. It means you're an asshole. So you're not entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to be an asshole, and you can do that outside of our events and our parties.
Yeah.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not free of the consequences of what you say. I mean, I've said this a million times. Like, you can say what you want, but we don't have to sit and listen to your shit if we don't agree with you. And if you're going to be vehement about it, then we can be vehement about kicking you out the goddamn door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Americans especially are really uppity about that because their concept of free speech, which they hold very dear and it's very important to them, most of them don't really understand what it really means.
Mm-hmm.
It mostly just applies to like the government and journalists. It doesn't really apply to fan groups or message boards or internet comment sections. But they feel very entitled to it. It's very important for them to be able to say whatever they want to say, no matter what or where or the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so. You know what? I mean, I see one of your videos deals with post-con depression, for instance, and us, especially. I'm not sure about how long it took Scratch, but for me, it was around about a month and a half.
Oh no, that didn't really deal with post-con depression. That were just Rusty playing up post-con depression.
How does that feel?
Well, it's depressing. It is like on my list of episode ideas to actually do a full episode on post-con depression. Overall, it's a good thing. It means you had a great time. I feel like post-con depression is mostly like things you didn't get to do because you were so busy doing all of the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sad that the con's already over, and it's going to be like another year or 6 months or whatever till your next big one.
Yeah.
But like, if you're engaged in the community, if you have a fursuit and you like to go fursuiting, like there are other events to go enjoy and really help alleviate post-con depression.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. So I'm sure
I'll
but still, yeah.
Yeah, I'll one day stretch that out and do a full 10-minute video. But yeah, the post-con depression, that one was just more of a convention wrap-up video. So we pretended we gave Rusty a hangover.
Wow, okay. So when I was talking a bit earlier about like smaller communities and things like that, what I mean is like smaller world communities, like, there's Brazil, which is an up-and-coming community. Japan itself is also kind of beginning to, I guess, not accept it. That wouldn't necessarily be the term that I'd look at, but, look at furry communities that are sort of up-and-coming in different countries. Turkey as well, for instance.
Turkish furries.
Yeah. Oh, please do tell us about Turkish furries if that's something that you have in your mind already.
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
Right now.
We actually had an interview with a Turkish furry who was actually creating his own con as well.
Turkish furries. I found a DeviantArt page. Any Turkish furries on the fur affinities.
Tarkin was
that's fun.
The leader of the Turkish furries, which should very in all honesty, I'm actually pretty interested to see what furries have to do, or how Turkish furries look at things, because Turkey, of course, is very, what's the word? No, singular isn't the word that I would like to say, but, they're conservative. Turkey, in and of itself, is a little bit conservative.
it's right in between the Middle East and Europe.
Yeah.
I think they almost became a European Union nation, actually.
And then not.
They almost joined the EU. I could be mistaken. Don't know my Turkish politics that well. Should have brushed up before the podcast.
Yeah, I know, because that was something that we were going to ask you. Totally. What do you know about Turkish furries? What do you know about the Chinese furry community?
Well, I know the Chinese convention is government-run.
Oh.
Any large gathering of people has to be government-sponsored. Otherwise, it's a protest and the government will shut it down. So China does have a furry convention. They totally have a furry convention, and it is sponsored by the government of China. Because that's how you have a convention in China. And I think that's awesome.
I do not want to be the ambassador that has to open up the speech.
Some Chinese bureaucrat had to read this proposal and be like, okay, it's okay, and then they got approved. So maybe they're invited. Maybe there's the boozy badger of China who helped them get recognized so they can put on their events.
On Chinese beer and whiskey.
Ivik.
What?
Have we had Boozy on?
We haven't, and I want him.
I would love to.
Yeah, he's usually open to that sort of stuff.
Fuck yes. We need to have Boozy on the show.
I need to look at the way that I say things next time, because I just got a very, very awkward look from Badge.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I was thinking about approaching him about it, but the thing is that I was just wondering whether we weren't too small fry for him by now.
I think he'll be. It never hurts to ask.
Yeah, sure.
I have a great anecdote for that, actually, and I need to actually respond to this. Last week, I reached out to Andrew WK's press team to possibly interview him for the show, and I got a response. It never hurts to ask. The worst thing that'll happen is nothing. That's more a message for the viewers than it is for you about talking to Boozy Badger.
Yeah. Andrew WK is? Sorry,
he is a rock musician who is openly furry. He has invited fursuiters on the stage before. His big song, which is probably almost 20 years old by now, is Party Hard. And it's just like a rock your hair back and forth. It's like headbanger, thrasher music. It's pretty college rock, his style. But he's a fun. His Wikipedia page is a fun read because he does like motivational speaking. He's spoken at Brony conventions.
He bashes his head in with a brick.
Yes. His like iconic styled look is the bloody nose with the white shirt.
Yeah.
He's been a guest star on the Bedfellows animated series on YouTube. Yeah, so I reached out and be like, hey, maybe NGWK can say something nice to furries who have to deal with Nazis and the alt-right too, just like everyone else. So I still have to respond to that because I was caught off guard because I totally wasn't expecting a response.
Nice.
Do your homework.
Pretty exciting.
Scratch.
Yes.
I think we're down.
Oh shit. Yeah, we dropped a lot of frames. Let me see. Connection. Oh damn.
The system down.
The system is down.
I gotta have a beer or something. We gotta turn this into a drinking game.
I'm actually over here.
Yeah.
Table.
Let me see who's doing what. We're dropping a lot of frames on first stream, it seems. Like Furry FM is back, but first stream is struggling. Ugh, we just have to ride this one out, unfortunately.
Is anybody still listening to first stream?
I don't know, dude. Like
I remember there were a couple of comments, and now there's no one listening to first stream.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I just saw like there's definitely no one here, and the last time anybody commented was the 23rd of July.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop streaming the first stream then, and just keep going on Furry FM because this is taking up bandwidth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Furry FM.
Get rid of first.
Sorry guys, first stream. Sorry guys.
Nothing.
We're going off here. Stop streaming. But I will
You
continue.
guys record this separately?
Yeah, so we do sort of record it separately.
Yeah. We're still out on Furry.fm.
I know. We're trying to get back on. One sec. Okay,
Ian Hunter and Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
No. Okay.
We
should be back on. We should be back on Furry.fm. Apologies for that, guys. Yeah, bit of a network issue on this side. They are putting in fiber in my complex over my area, so it's not going to be too long before we have something good to show. So yeah, just grin and bear it for now.
No, it's there. It's where we're back on. We're back live. I think.
I'll keep an eye
just
on
getting
it.
the thumbs up from Badge.
Cool. Thank you.
Badge has now become my music listener at this point. Woo.
Yeah.
Okay. So where were we? Boozy Badger and
NGWK.
Yeah.
So in the next few months, you'll probably see a video from him on my channel, which is pretty exciting. I'm thinking of just sort of asking him some general open questions and just letting him just talk, and then giving him like an animated treatment like we did with the podcasters from Feral Attraction.
Okay, cool. About us. It's okay. We already got T-shirts from you guys. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that those actually made it through. Holy crap!
Yeah, no,
I thought for sure they would get lost like in transit.
Like seriously.
Very, very relieved. Any of the art survive, or is it all just a big crinkled mess?
It is a little bit crinkly, but I'm sure if we give it some love and maybe just block it out on some not canvas, like framing cardboard, should be fine.
Yeah.
But
okay.
We didn't quite have time for it to do it this year, but maybe we can put them up for raffle next year because they are very
obviously right now they're just like squish them between some books or something to see if you can't flatten them out. But I'm glad you guys got those. It was very like when you guys asked for a tracking number, I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I get a tracking number? The thing's gonna end up on the bottom of the ocean.
Thank goodness it didn't. Like, in all honesty, we are incredibly thankful for it.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously wore it with pride. I wore the shirt on the first day and possibly the third day as well. And I possibly may have slept in it at some point. And I've worn it to work on like 2 occasions during a casual day.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm very happy like wearing that. I actually can't wait till I get my fursuit because that's going to be my next casual Friday.
Oh God.
Well, actually, you know what? I could wear the entire fursuit and wear, my work clothes and make it a not casual Friday.
That's not
wear it on a Thursday.
Dude,
Yeah, why not?
I wouldn't call a fursuit casual. Like I understand the want to wear it, but it's not casual.
Okay,
It's
then
the
what is it?
opposite of casual.
It's a costume. Like, it's for a costume party, or if you have a dress-up day or something.
Yeah.
Like, wear the most ridiculous thing you can find day. Oh, there you go. The giant fox for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm totally gonna do that. Like, for work. Best purpose.
Do it, man. Whatever makes you feel good.
I'm doing it for.
believe in you.
I believe in me too. Sorry.
Best of luck on that. In all honesty, I just need to see pictures. Like, so many pictures.
Yeah. Like, I want to teach my kids in it for one day.
Yeah. I just want to see it, and I want to see it where it is on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, why the hell not? I mean, it's being made by our prestige fursuit builder.
Premiere.
Yeah. Premiere would probably be the term.
The Rift isn't arcade anymore.
What?
I just realized the Rift isn't arcade anymore.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
What are we talking? What's
No.
Badge saying now?
Badge just realized something about League of Legends.
Oh, that it
The
sucks.
Rift isn't arcade anymore. Hey, shut up.
Hello.
Okay. So other things we can talk about. We've spoken about cucks. We've spoken about the alt-right.
How far are you guys from reaching your subscriber goal to use the YouTube space?
We're pretty close. We're at 7,000. So only 3,000 more to go, and then we can start filming in the YouTube space, which would be epic.
Yeah.
They have like a full green screen there, and like lots of really awesome equipment. Lots of room to run around. So we could do a more complicated set, or they have like the pre-set up like lounge area that we could film in. That would be pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're at 7,000. We passed 6,000. Like, we got about 1,000 subscribers with our last video on copyright, which was that big success with 30,000 views, which was like, whoa. It's already.
How did that go? Like, what was the response?
It was astounding. Like, I thought, like, first off, Underbite and I were really bummed out by the viewership numbers from June and July. We were getting like less than 10% of our subscriber base watching our videos, which just fills me with sad. And like, there were videos I was really excited for, like the Gargoyles one, which barely got any views because I grew up with that TV show, and it was a big part of like me coming into furry. And then after that, I did the Black Sat episode where I taught myself a bunch of motion graphics to really breathe life into this comic book that's so awesome and worthy of it. I can't recommend Black Sat enough. If you guys run to your comic book store and buy it, do it. It's so good. And yeah, same story. It's very few views. It's very disappointing. And I had this script kind of already half written because it's all very technical and factual about just how basic copyright works, which I've learned in school a couple of times. And I thought for sure, oh yeah, this episode's going to be boring. No one's going to be interested. I'm not sure how I can make it exciting or jumpy. So I was pretty hesitant, and I took my time editing. We introduced this new like animated facts. The fur fact, which pops up in the corners with some furry photography we got access to use. Those were a lot of fun. Those were actually leftover scraps from our new opening title, which we were also very excited to show. We had a fan from Australia who reached out to us through our Patreon, so he had already given us some money. And he was also like, hey, I'm going to school for animation, and I want to like motion graphic you guys up a new opening title. so the new opening title is, I think that was first debuted on this episode as well, and it's the same theme, which also later got updated last week by Cord Kitty with just to have more instrumentation, and yeah, so it's all these cutout figures, and we recycled the ones that we like into these fur facts just to have these additional pop-ups with more information or maybe a joke. Yeah, so just by, I guess, taking my sweet time with editing and giving it a topic that furries are interested in on basically how to protect their persona from copyright theft, and bringing it into the context of these Chinese industrial companies stealing our photography and our personas, managed to just gain a viral success. And it was all organically gained through YouTube, meaning a blog didn't pick it up and shared it, or like influencer on Twitter like Majira or Boozy didn't share it on Twitter. All 30,000 of these views came through YouTube, which is especially weird and astounding and unexpected. Because usually when you get something like that, it's because it's posted somewhere else and it's like leading people to the channel. Yeah. But this one was just through YouTube's recommendations. People just saw it on the sidebar, and that's I don't know what the magic the magic formula to make that happen again, but I managed to land it with this episode, so it's all very exciting. Episode 53, China stealing personas, copyright for furries.
Protect your persona.
To do with the title. It probably has everything to do with the title.
Yeah, like probably. Title and thumbnail, they both basically equal. Maybe the thumbnail is even more so.
Yeah. I mean, and that's actually pretty cool to hear that, like, and especially for people who are like up and coming, I guess in some ways, largely ignored at times, or subbing early throughout the period, but then sort of dropping away after a while. Possibly, I mean, like in my case, I wait for a large amount of content, and then I binge watch for days. Like, especially if it's something that I can say put on in the background and listen to while I'm doing other things, because I don't know, my time tends to be eaten by things like, I don't know, time gremlins. And I mean, yeah, jeez, eating my time gremlins. Sounds like such a Thai thing to say. But yeah, so I mean, like I tend to binge watch quite heavily at times. So for instance, like I watch stream fails very, very regularly, but regularly. Like by the end of like 3 to 4 weeks, I'd suddenly realized, oh shit, I haven't actually seen any of this new content that they brought out. Randomly open up the page and sit there for sometimes while sleeping, sometimes while awake. Most of the time while awake, but yeah. So I don't know, maybe that's also the thing. Like, some people caught wake-ups, some people didn't. But I mean, it's I guess it's also difficult. Like for us, obviously, our content is super long format, and it's annoying for somebody to sit through something like that for like 2.5 hours or 1.5 hours. They get bored, and then they never come back again.
Yeah, like it's difficult with long format stuff to keep people like from clicking away.
Yeah, like even Furcast is a longer format podcast that I have on my subscriptions, and like I rarely finish an episode. Very, very rarely I'll actually listen to the whole thing. Yeah, it's just people have short attention spans.
Yeah, no, this is true.
Thanks, internet and attention economy.
Thank you, 10-minute videos. Thank you, less than 10-minute videos.
Yeah, though I seem like a lot of my videos lately have been like 14, 16 minutes, so we're actually pushing that a little further. People seem to be responding a little better to the longer format.
Longer format actually works a lot better.
By like longer by my standards, not by podcasting standards.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if it works, it works. Like, you can sort of consider yourself lucky that people are taking this well, essentially, because a lot of people usually aren't those kinds of folks. Like they want their quick animation, or they want their like 10-minute let's play, and then there ends the show kind of thing.
Probably one of the reasons why Conor McGregor is so topical currently, because most of his matches only lasted like 10 seconds.
Lol. Snaps on.
Sorry,
I didn't even watch the fight last night. Like, is it worth it?
I'm gonna get. No, I obviously couldn't watch the fight. I'd done a pay-per-view, and they were like super heavy on, not pirating things. Like I saw possibly a round somewhere, and then I was just like, meh, whatever. It's a whole bunch of Americans shouting at one another.
Also,
kind of gets boring.
I didn't even see it as a fair fight. Like you're imposing restrictions on an MMA fighter that doesn't know or doesn't like necessarily know how to box. It's like, of course he's gonna fail.
He did okay, I guess. Like I was reading the. I was reading the fight. After every round, they'd send an update, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what happened. This makes absolutely no sense to me, because I don't normally watch fighting." But yeah, so I mean, like attention spans is pretty much it. I mean, why don't you just get the chance to beat someone up in 5 minutes or something like that? You just say like, okay, if you're not down by the end of this, then it's over. Tie.
Yeah.
Stop. Try again tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's difficult to gauge those kinds of things. But yeah.
So I mean, Arrkay, we're obviously very, very stoked for you, especially with the viewership and everything like that. I mean, 7,000 viewers is definitely something to not sneeze at all.
Yeah, for sure.
But is there ever going to be a point where it's just going to become too much when it comes to trying to interact with your fan base?
Possibly. I generally only really respond to comments for the first week. Usually, only actually more accurately, first few days after I post a video. After that, Rusty will do the comment response video about a week later. But that's usually I'm usually pretty good for responding to people on Twitter. But especially with big episodes like the copyright one, where there was a lot of popularity, which of course translates to lots of comments, it does get a little overwhelming. Though I was trying to get at this earlier, I guess we kind of got off track when we were talking about comments. And a lot of why is this furry stuff on my feed comments on this? So in a change of pace, I usually just ignore those comments or give them a thumbs down. But for some reason, I guess I'm just frustrated with all of this other stuff. I just decided that I'm going to start talking back to these people. They obviously aren't furry, but they took the time to comment on my channel, so I'm going to go make fun of them to their face. Play along with their joke.
how'd that go over?
What happened?
For the most part, good. Surprisingly, even there was a few positive ones, like I'm not a furry, but I like this video. Those are always great. And there was a couple, not very many, but there was a couple where I would make fun of their screen name or their comment, and they would be like, "Oh, haha, I didn't expect you to respond," sort of thing. So that's fun. I don't think anyone actually reviewed any of my teasings.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a little more fun just to I don't stop caring. No one's gonna really care if I make fun of someone in the comment section.
Especially if they're making fun of you first.
Yeah, here's a really simple one was why is this on my recommended? So I just said, "You're probably a latent furry. Sorry, see you at the next con, I guess."
And they were just did they respond to that?
No, they didn't.
Oh.
I think that's probably the reason. They're like, crap. I mean, like again, like we were talking about the commentary and things like that. So generally, mostly positive responses from the people who do actually take the time to comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is still great. It's a good sign that we're on the right track still. And yeah, like the negative comments, you can see them coming. They're usually normies or like people just trying to badmouth furry, or they're alt furries trying to just get my attention. But I've blocked most of them by now, so they're pretty easy to ignore these days. Yeah. Overall, still some pretty decent comments. Every now and again, there's some like, you got this minor fact wrong, or you pronounced Jakes, or some other nonsense like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would find that to be relatively annoying. Is like, this is what you got from this?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I did an article for dogpatch.press the other week. I'll put it in the Furry FM live chat there.
Nice.
On some of the cool aspects of the furry community lately. So several YouTubers are pushing 100,000 subscribers for just their fun, silly furry YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I hope to get 100,000 subscribers one day. That would be excellent.
Mm-mm.
But in the meantime,
nice.
in the meantime, I'm just trying to get to 10K so I can use that studio.
And that'll go a long way to like improving the overall quality of the show itself.
Yeah.
And as well, Eric Risher, maybe, I don't know. He got an Emmy. Eric is the furry filmmaker who made Furries a documentary.
Oh, for real?
Oh, right. I like that one.
Yes, and he received an Emmy for some of his other editing work on some like after-school special on suicide.
No shit.
Which is the other part of that article on Dogpatch. And I just thought, there's been a lot of terrible things in the news, and furries need a good reminder why it's still awesome to be furry. Because we have this trend of multiple YouTubers pushing 100,000 subscribers for only making fursuit videos, as opposed to just like someone who happens to be a furry who's doing really successful on YouTube, which there are several. And then, another one of our ranks gets a freaking Emmy.
Yeah.
That is so
I mean,
cool.
and that's always fun.
Yeah, so make sure to check out that article.
Yeah. I will definitely have a look at that article. Obviously, and I think I saw a article, not an article, something about Pawdcast. No, you haven't done anything about Pawdcast recently, have you?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Were you looking
I don't
into
think
doing
that.
something like that?
No. If I did, I would like have a guest star, like I'd have Majira over or Kuro or someone, and that would probably be discussed. But I don't foresee doing an episode on Pawdfur or a popular furry. I don't know if that really matches the culturally apt brand. At some level, like I am trying to be Pawdfur with this channel and get it out there and get those numbers up and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. The whole idea kind of makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, like Pawdfur is kind of like this odd, like nebulous concept with a very much a negative connotation to it, and like.
Sure, I think it was originally coined as like a negative, jokey term.
Yeah.
I know. Justifer, if you ever are going to do something like that with a guest star.
Let's not name any names. Just. Yeah.
No. Like he's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, guest star about Pawdcast. Blue.
Oh right, yeah.
Fucking Blue the Dragon. You remember him?
Yeah, Blue the fucking Dragon. Yeah, I remember him.
I contacted him once. I tried to get him in, and then that didn't help.
Nothing came of it.
Nah.
You tried. That's what matters.
Yeah, I was just trying. Sorry.
Whine like that.
I will whine. I whine all the time. Come on, ask Badge.
Yeah, not whine with an H, not without.
Oh, no, we're having whiskey.
He's going to whine until you whine him.
Yeah. Dine me too. But dine both of us for free.
Yeah,
Please
sure.
and thank you.
Yeah, the day I have money.
Yeah, the day I have money. Soon enough. Okay, so, well, I mean, those are some interesting prospects so far. I mean, like, 3K away. How long has it been taking you guys to get, like, this far? I mean, I know that some people unsubscribe because the video's not going well, or have you guys ever what's your least popular video, for instance? Like, one that actually actively made people disappear?
Yeah, where's the
That's a
biggest
great
dislike
question.
bar?
Yeah. I'll have to, like, open up my analytics to see, because they will say subscribers. Let's see here. I'm going to switch to lifetime. This will take me a second.
No worries.
I only want to look at subscribers lost. Okay, so here we go. So the biggest numbers of subscribers that I lost was 23/09/2016. So I need to figure out what video that was. So September 23rd, 2016. So what video did I post
To
in
upset so
September
many people.
of last year that upset at least 12 people to make them unsubscribe? It couldn't have been anything terribly controversial because I didn't do anything controversial until Fandom Divided.
Yeah.
So let's just go back in the Wayback Machine. Videos. There are a couple of other spikes too for subscriber loss, but that was the tallest one. 7 months, 9 months, 10 months. So you want like 11 months ago? F update with Rusty. First exploitation with Abergwine. BoJack Horseman. Centaurs. Yeah, I don't know. Not all of these were actually okay videos. So the first exploitation one too was especially successful. So my guess is we had a huge influx of subscribers then, which means we probably also had people just unsubscribe immediately when they realized that whatever content I'm making wasn't for them or something. So unfortunately, that's not quite the answer we wanted.
Maybe there was like a YouTube purge of like bot accounts or something.
That's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be that.
Let's stay positive, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm just going to try sorting by most popular, and I'll just go to the end of the list.
No, no worries.
Yeah. No.
Have you
Cough
survived?
buttons are amazing. I'm not dead yet.
So glad my mic has one. My new mic at least.
Okay, so unsurprising to me is our least popular videos are all the F updates with Rusty.
Why?
Well, they're just updates. They're usually they're kind of ads for my Patreon. I can totally understand why people don't want to watch them, especially if they're just subscribed for my regular content.
Sell out.
Whatever. I gotta eat.
Yeah.
I have no regrets.
No regrets.
Yeah, no regrets. So I can't say I'm terribly surprised with that. Other than that, the actual episode that's on the lowest tier, there's Christmas with Krampus. We did an episode all about the Krampus myth for Christmas.
Okay.
That was last year, and that's only at 700 views. And that's sad. Krampus is a fun European tradition with creepy demons.
And children being put in sacks and beaten with sticks.
Yeah.
That's a fun tradition.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'd watch a video all about that. The beating of children.
Well, Christmas is just around the corner.
Cool. Well, are you gonna do a second update about it?
Probably not.
It is what it is.
My persona was almost a deer, but I decided against it because I realized every single Christmas would be awful.
Mm-mm.
So I decided to get something that's more relevant year round.
Well, and every New
Like
Year,
Krampus.
of course.
Yeah.
Rudolph. Sorry. I don't want to play that song. It's not July anymore, thank God. Actually, you know what? I think maybe we should do that at some point.
What?
We should do like a special video at some point.
Christmas special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe have
Everything
a
is Christmassy with jingle bells. Just add jingle bells to the background and it's instantly Christmassy.
Ugh.
I'd rather have the metal version of that. Thank you very much.
I'm
progressive rock.
I'm not quite a fan of Christmas music.
I hate it passionately.
Anyone who's ever retail hates
Hates
Christmas
it.
music.
Yep. But,
Especially if there's only one CD on your entire playlist and you just have to play that all fucking day long.
Shame. That sucks.
It's okay. At least it didn't work in a Greek restaurant.
Otherwise, it would just be. What's that thing?
It was the Greek hits.
Oh, the Greek hits.
So in other words, like you were hearing Balalaika in the background, and you were kind of sitting there going like, I seriously don't want to listen to Balalaika again today.
That was a Balalaika.
Lo and behold,
yeah.
Fucking Balalaikas all the fucking time.
All the way
Turkish,
down.
Greek music. Oh god. And then of course there's that one song that actually made it into like the world hits and things like that. There was even there. It got so big that there was a metal cover of it. Let's put it like that.
What? What song was that?
Yeah, I can't remember, and I honestly don't want to.
It's repressed now.
It has been repressed, yes. Any ideas on what new content is going to be coming out?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we scaled back our production a little bit, mostly because trying to get out a new video every single week is exhausting, and that was really starting to affect quality. And I'd rather put out one really good video a month rather than try to squeeze out 4 kind of crappy videos a month.
Yeah.
And you can see a drastic shift in quality in the past few weeks, starting, I would say, just after the Gargoyles episode. That one was sort of like the last standard episode before I really cranked up the production value and the editing. So I'm spending, instead of spending 1 week editing, I'm now spending 2 weeks editing, just to really throw in all those bells and whistles to make them more exciting. And more shareable and just generally enjoyable, whether or not you're a furry.
Okay.
As for other content, I'm still trying to write episodes and fill it out. But we are building up to a mini series. I have a trailer out, which is a parody of the Westworld opening title. If you watch Westworld, and there's a side-by-side as well, because I tried to match it frame for frame, but with silly fursuit footage. So that was a lot of fun to make. Anyway, so Fursuiting a History is the miniseries we are working on. It's going to be 6 or 7 episodes detailing the surprisingly intricate history of dressing up like animals. I'll bring up... There it is. I have my folder open now. So the very first episode is just going to be on animal masks and embodying an animal and what that means for history and certain tribes and festivals around the world. That's episode 1, and it sort of explains and outlines the rest of the series. Episode 2 is skin parts and pantomime animal costumes, which is based off of a series of Dogpatch.press articles looking at turn of the century theatrical pantomime costumes.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be a really great episode. A lot of awesome vintage photographs and stuff of these really intricate animal costumes, which were all made, handmade by the performers, usually with real animal leather and fur. If you think a modern fursuit is warm to wear, could you imagine that, but thicker and heavier and made from an actual dead animal? Yeah, so that one I'm really excited for, and then we're gonna get into other stuff like sports mascots. Spend an episode on how those became kind of a cultural mainstay across the world, starting with like a Jim Henson creation and like college baseball, all the way to like the modern ones you see today. Yeah,
I have just the picture for you, just to use in respect to like mascots from. Like if you're ever looking at like really bad ones versus really good ones, you should have a look at the Sunwolves' mascot. They're a
Japanese rugby team.
Rugby team. They call themselves the Sunwolves. And if you remember, like there was that craze where people were like sort of there were those mass-produced animal wolf heads that had come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally their mascot now.
Cool.
Anyway,
moving on.
Yeah.
Probably gonna spend an episode talking about Hollywood movie monsters and kaiju. We'll talk about the history of cosplay and how that led into the first fursuit, like an actual fursuit made like by someone who is a nerd who wears it at conventions. And then from there, we're going to spend 2 episodes on like how fursuits are actually put together and styled. The one is called The Anatomy of a Fursuit, and the final episode of the series is The Future of Fursuiting, which talks about the tech, like how people, everything from like LEDs to like Bluetooth controlled ears and facial expressions
to animated wings,
like
and stuff like that.
animated wings or eyes. I've seen people, they're not animatronic, they're like basically just old phones that they have programmed in eyes that blink and look around and stuff, as well as like the other half of the future fursuiting discusses a little more on like the industrialization of fursuit production and like how now in Walmart and Hot Topic they're now selling these fursuit heads, which we talked a little bit about in the copyright episode, how like these Chinese mass production factories are making these cheap fursuit heads for like pennies. And that could really change the fandom and like how people perceive furry.
Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing overall?
Overall, I'm going to say that it's a good thing because it builds awareness. It makes it normalizes furry. It makes it less of a weird, like, fringe thing and more of a just a general fandom nerd thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so I was expecting a butt there.
Yeah, it kind of did sound like there was a butt because
the butt, like, I can't really think of a lot of bad parts about it. Like, I guess the bad part is if it gets a little like pushed to the extreme. Furry could potentially lose its identity as that outsider fandom, and we could potentially just be incorporated in with the anime and the comic books and the horror conventions, which are run by big companies, at least here in North America. Here in Toronto, we have Fan Expo, which used to be like the great independent like nerd convention of the summer, but has since been bought out by a corporation that like manages conventions across the continent. So it's become really corporatized, very much just an ad space for Marvel and video game companies, and like they have the celebrity signing areas. So the bad result could be that, as well as anime and horror, they could add that furry section in an attempt to like unite all these fandoms under one corporate banner. And that part could be quite disastrous for the fandom's identity. But as for just like Walmart having really intricate fox masks, I don't think that's necessarily in and of itself a bad thing. I think that's just going to make it more accessible. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if people take these masks and then improve them, because it's essentially the base that they really only need, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would encourage people, like, if you need a cheap fursuit, like, go get one of these masks for $20 or $40, and like alter it yourself, add that extra color for your character, airbrush it, change up the species, do like. I think that's going to be great for the fandom. I think there's that's going to open up costuming to the fandom in a way that right now you either need to be pretty decent with a sewing machine to make a fursuit, or like you need to have several $1,000s to give to a professional maker to make one for you. Like I made all my fursuits, and they're still very time consuming, very difficult, and like results may vary.
Sure.
Yeah, and being an artist, you're always your own worst critic. It's like, oh, this thing looks like crap.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, believe me, like I'm pretty sure that if I put my hand to a sewing machine, I'd A, injure myself, and B, probably concoct some sort of Frankensteinian horror.
It takes practice.
Yeah. I'm not surprised at that statement at all.
How to sew it all, and honestly, it's not really in my bucket list currently.
What, to become handy, to become domesticated?
No, it's sewing. Handy and domesticated. Like the thing is that if you want me to be handy and domesticated, teach me how to sew a button to a shirt.
That's not difficult.
That's so easy, man. That's so easy.
That's not. It's the hardest thing for me to ever do. I don't have the hand.
Like it's really hard to thread a needle when you have paws.
Fair point.
Badge has just literally given me like this withering gaze and is now patting my hand very condescendingly. Yes, it's condescending.
That wasn't support.
Oh, what? You don't know how to sew a button either?
I don't know how to support the sew button.
Yeah, exactly. It was condescending.
Badge is doing my work for me.
Oh, God. Anyway, so we're pretty close to the end of the show. If you want to do any kind of plugging or anything like that, you're more than welcome to do so.
Well, of course, you should head to Culturally Aft on YouTube and subscribe. Mm-hmm. That's the big one that I need everyone to do always, so that I can get to 10K and use YouTube Studio and force a whole bunch of people to make furry content for the internet.
Okay. Badge is going to subscribe.
Great. Thanks, Badge.
He says thank you. Oh, obviously, you're hearing him.
Check out our latest videos on Star Fox and copyright. A lot of furries are responding really well to those, so chances are they're going to like it too. To support Culturally Aft, we are on Patreon. We have some new rewards there that we introduced this summer. Like, we're doing Your Character Here thumbnails, so whatever the topic is, we'll incorporate your character into the thumbnail for that episode, and there it will remain till the end of time.
Or until YouTube crashes.
Or until
your persona changes.
Yeah. No, we will not update it if your persona changes. We're also doing custom Rusty videos, so patrons can send Rusty a few lines of dialogue, and he will be forced to read it no matter what, and give you a nice custom video of that. We're also trying to live stream a bunch more, and you can access that through our Patreon page. We also have merchandise, which I sent you guys some copies of in the mail, which successfully arrived. You can get that at culturallyeft.com. And Underbite and I are looking into updating that and getting some new designs in, hopefully in September, because that's when all the students have their school loans in. And what better way to spend your school loans than on furry t-shirts?
Yeah, they're quite comfy though, I have to admit.
They are really comfy. I was very, very impressed.
Yeah,
I thought that I was wearing Fruit of the Loom.
Awesome, guys. Well, I'm glad you liked them. Who got which shirt?
I got the Fluff Punk one. I've got the Daily Line Decker one.
Awesome. So yeah, those are the two designs we currently have up. I'm going to try and see if we can't get a Japanese woodcut design up, because there was Takahashi, I think, is the artist's name. He loved doing cat people, and all of his works are like 200 years old, so I don't have to worry about copyright.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, as for that, yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna be doing the fursuiting history. Hopefully by October, we'll have that posted. If not, the main reason we will delay that is if something amazing happens. If we get
hitting 10K.
No, if we get funding. There's a program I've applied to, the Ontario Media Development Corporation. So if I get approved for that, and they like the idea of a fursuit history, then that means fursuit history is going to have a budget, which would be outstanding. We are already working with Easy Wolf for that, actually. He's agreed to let us use his footage. So that's all very exciting. Fursuit history, I really want to be elevated to be like a real documentary feel. A little more than just my usual talking head in the studio. Hey, let's talk about fan fiction or whatever. This one, like, when I'm writing the scripts, I have David Attenborough's voice narrating it in my head. That's the kind of feel I want to give these little documentary vignettes. What else? I think that's it. Those are all the official plugs, for sure. What's up?
On a final note, like, I mean, doesn't that sort of, like, getting funding from Artside again, doesn't that fall into some sort of clash with your current funding from the Canadian government?
No.
Oh.
Well, first off, that funding from the Canadian government is already gone. I got that. That's over a year ago. We got that, and it was with that money that I was able to send a care package all the way to South Africa from Toronto. Not worry about it. But yeah, all that money's gone. We upgraded our studio, which sounds awesome. And yeah, so it absolutely does not conflict. In fact, if you do get funding from multiple sources, they love it because that means your budget's overall bigger and everyone gets to see a more successful end product.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I was wondering. It was actually a question that I had way earlier, and then I forgot about it.
That's cool.
But yeah, okay. No, this actually sounds really cool. I'm very glad that you guys are actually, on the up and up, and that's always really, really awesome to have and to hear. And
yeah, thank you.
We always love having you, just by the way, and we're more than willing to have you guys on again. Mm-hmm. If you ever want to talk to us about anything, maybe just like send me a message at one point and just say, hey, look, I want to talk about these things today, and you literally just dictate to me what you want to do, and then we can do that.
Sure. Yeah, the next one I'm sure will probably be like specifically to push fursuit history. So in the meantime, we have that trailer up, which is more just a mishmash of footage with some spooky music, silly music, really. Mm-hmm. And that's the Westworld parody trailer, which I'll just link in the chat because that's nice and easy. There.
So that was
and if you like it, catch the side by side, which you can find a link to in the comments section.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, yeah. Thanks again for coming on, Arrkay. It's always good to have you.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Mm-hmm. Always a pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And obviously, directly after this, we're going to be playing a little bit of music. Arrkay, if you want to, you can send me a couple of messages on Telegram, just to let me know about what kind of music you like listening to, and I'll try to find it and I'll play it this evening as part of the request, part of my show. So, yeah, let me know.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, cheers, guys. Have a good rest of your Sunday, and we'll